financial factor to both football clubs, probably more to us because of the, you know, the problems that we've inherited.
Finally, I know that Sam, you, me, everybody would wanted West Ham to go up automatically.
Sure.
If they go up at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock tonight here at Wembley, the best way of doing it.
Oh, you know, if you could choose, and if you could write the scripts, and if you could, you know, have an influence, then absolutely, you know, it's happened to me. You know, I've failed on a number of occasions to make the final with Birmingham, but when we did go up, we were at Cardiff. It was a fantastic day. And of course this will even be a bigger day because one, it's Wembley, and two, it's West Ham.
Talk Sport live at Wembley for the N-Power playoff final with N-Power, sponsors of the Football League.
Yeah, the West Ham co-chairman David Gold there. Blackpool have had 4 playoff competitions in history. They've won all 4. I think West Ham won 1, lost 1. But it's interesting, some people accuse West Ham of arrogance, and I wasn't quite sure of that until I read an interview with Baz Tay in the Daily Mail today, where he says, quote, "The history of this club is far greater than this division, so we're going to make sure we take it to where it belongs." If that wasn't bad enough, he then goes on to say that Reading got a bit lucky with results. He also said Southampton had no pressure and went on a run, and when they were expected to go up, they crumbled. So I'm bewildered by Baz Tay coming out with all that.
Well, Southampton had back-to-back promotions like Norwich did, and believe you me, there's 20-odd thousand pack out Carrow Road every week, and there's 30-odd thousand that now pack out St Mary's Stadium. As for Reading, I don't think, what, 46 out of 51 points is a decent run of results.
Lucky, you said lucky.
A lucky.
They got lucky with results.
Look, with West Ham United being in the Championship, everybody's going to look at them and see them with their wage bill, with the potential that the club has, and that's all it is potential. You know, in my lifetime, as a kid growing up, when you get into football, under 9s, under 10s, under 11s, West Ham have been in one cup final, the one where, you know, they're all white, they won 1-0, wasn't it?
1980.
They've done nothing else since, bar that, really. So in terms of, they've had promotions, they've had, you know, they've had great individual players, people like the Di Canios that have come to the club. But in terms of West Ham moving forward, they'll only realise that potential of the 40,000. Moose reckons they could fill 100,000 with just West Ham supporters here today, and I probably believe that, is if they go on, is if they get into the Premier League and they sustain Premier League football in the top half of the table for the next, you know, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. Up until then, all it just is potential.
Well, I do consider them to be a big club, and I think that, but that's not reflected on the pitch, is it? You're right. I mean, that FA Cup in 1980 was it. I think they got to a League Cup final the year after. Alan Pardew took them to an FA Cup final. They lost as well to Liverpool. But apart from that, they've been lean years for West Ham, haven't they?
Oh, they have, yeah. But they are a big club, there's no doubt. Around my way, where I live, they're massive. I mean, West Ham have got a massive fan base. The away fans, they always take 4,000 or 5,000 every away game. So they've got real good fans. You'll see that today. You know, you'll see them really packed out in the West Ham end. And there's been lots and lots of people around my way asking me for tickets. Can you get tickets? So there's lots and lots of people who ain't going to be here today, who would love to be here with no ticket. But you know, you look at West Ham. I'm looking at, if they do go up today, what happens next year? How do they approach next season?
That's what I mean. They've got to consolidate in the Premier League and not just talk big, but you know, there's the rumours about the Olympic Stadium or whatever. They've got to have a good recruitment policy, and success for West Ham, I think, would be in that group of clubs like Newcastle, like Sunderland, like Villa, like Everton, that perhaps haven't got billions to go on and spend, but should be looking to maintain top half of the Premier League for a sustained period of time. Yeah, not just 1 or 2 seasons.
I'm looking at Reading and Southampton. I think their clubs are in a great position now. I think they've got themselves. They've got a massive fan base as well. Reading got a good backing now behind them. They're going to go in. They're going to look at Swansea and Norwich, what they did, and go the similar sort of route for me. But I think Southampton have got a little bit of spending power as well now. You know, they're going to go into this Premier League, have a go, and then try and be like a Stoke, because you know, when Stoke come up, everybody thought they're going to go straight back down next season, and look at them now. Do you ever think that Stoke will ever go down? I don't. You know, every single season they're established as a Premier League side. But when they first come up, there was like 1 to 4 on, 2 to 7 on to go down. So everybody thought they're going to go straight down, and that's what West Ham and Swansea and Norwich And all the teams who are going to come up from the Championship have got to just be an established side now.
They have so much potential in terms of the supporter base that you just mentioned, the fact of being a London club. Let's be perfectly honest, even with some of the big Northwest giants have struggled to recruit players to go to live, whether it be in, you know, in the greater Manchester area or Sunderland or Newcastle, is that if they were to sustain themselves in the next 3 or 4 key years, maybe move into a new stadium where they're getting 40,000-50,000 people, which I believe they would get in the top half of the Premier League table. They're not half a catch for clubs. Because look at Chelsea, one of the biggest recruitment things is Fulham, exactly the same. People like Clint Dempsey, very, very happy at Fulham Football Club over a number of years, not just because of the club, not just because they're playing in the Premier League, because the lifestyle is great as well, and West Ham have that.
Well, West Ham have always had a great academy as well, haven't they? They've always brought players through. Tony, he's done a brilliant job. You go back to the players that come through their ranks, Glenn Johnson, Ferdinand, Lampard, Carrick, all these players that come through, and they're trying to bring them still through, you know, the Nobles, Collisons, Tompkins, who's been brilliant at the back. So they've got to really look at regulars. They've got to look at that. They've got to look at that still and keep that going. The academy at West Ham, because they've got some good players around my area. You know, in Essex, and it's a big net. If they can get the best players around that area, they'll have a chance of bringing good players through every single season.
On the flip side of that, if we stick with West Ham for a second, on the flip side of that, Ray, if they do lose this game today, will some of those players go? What's going to happen?
It's a big game for the club, for Sam Allardyce. What happens with Sam Allardyce? Will they stick with him for next season, or they say, well, this is this big season, we needed to go up? You know, I can see people like Noble, who's a skipper, stay, Tompkins for one more season maybe, and have a real go. But you know, clubs will be sniffing around the likes of Noble. I think he's above his Premier League player. I really do, because he hasn't got electric pace, but he's great on the ball. He knows where the next pass is going. As a midfielder, you have to do that. He's got a picture in his mind that he's a good picture, if you like. Collison's come into form, scoring goals. Colton Cole, Robert Green, what do they do? Well, they move on to club. So it's a massive game for West Ham, and that's why it's such a much more bigger game than it is for Blackpool, because I can see Blackpool coming here today, knowing all the pressures on West Ham's shoulders, and saying, look, go out there and have a right go. And Ian Holloway, he's been here and done it before, as you rightly say, got a great record, 4 playoff games, won every one of them, so they're going to be confident at Moon, as Kevin Phillips said to the Moose.
Yeah, I think Blackpool will be relaxed, but league positions and the players that they've got, the results they've had this season, everything points to West Ham winning this, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, 4-1 and 4-0 are comprehensive, but I do think in many games I've played that when you either give the team a tonking or you come out on the back of one, that really when you get to a sort of semi-final, quarter-final, final of a tournament, form really does count for nothing, and that's a cliche, but it doesn't, because the environment is very different. For one, you've got a Wembley Stadium which is going to be holding 90,000 people today. There's going to be a lot of nerves amongst certain players, maybe even key players, that perhaps they wouldn't get, Ray, in a run-of-the-mill bread and butter league game. There'll be players that won't have slept particularly well. So I think it's all about the team that has the most players that can express themselves today in this kind of atmosphere will go on and win. You would think that would be West Ham with big players.
Again, it's the will to win, it's the desire the players show. As Sam Allardyce said, look, he's prepared the players all week to get into a right frame of mind for this big game. But then, as soon as you cross that white line, stand and tell you, I've played, you know, it's all down to how your team does, the will to win, the desire, the responsibility of your players, your work rate, you know, doing your jobs properly. And on the day, if 2 or 3 don't do their jobs, then anything can happen in this game.
I've got a little bit of team news. We're yet to get it confirmed, but I'm just hearing some bad news for Blackpool, and that is that Gary Taylor-Fletcher may well miss out. He turned an ankle at the end of training on Thursday, hasn't made it, we're here, and we'll get that confirmed. That is unconfirmed at the moment, but we believe Kevin Phillips will start, Bednar on the bench. Gary Taylor-Fletcher, we are given to understand, is not going to play, not even on the bench for Blackpool this afternoon. As I say, it's unconfirmed, and we'll get the team news for you as and when we can. Also, we'll get the team news from Hampden for Hibs against Hearts in the Scottish Cup final, which kicks off at 3 o'clock. But it's the Empire Championship final. First off, 3 p.m. kick-off live on TalkSport, and then this evening live from Munich, it's Bayern-Chelsea in the Champions League final. Again, it's a double-header here on TalkSport.
Meanwhile, on the way to the match. So what's your favourite England football song then, Mikey?
Academic. It's got to be The World in Motion by New Order. That John Barnes rap is proper. there's only one way to beat them. Get round the back.
Of course, the biggest selling one was the one by the lightning seeds with Badoo and Skinner.
Yeah, that was a good one too, yeah.
The thing I've never understood about the England kit is why they don't actually have the 3 lines on the shirt.
What are you talking about, Ben?
Well, you would have thought they'd have put the 3 lines on the shirt, wouldn't you? Down the side or something, you know, to make it make sense.
Dennis, we've got no idea what you're talking about.
You know, like the song, 3 lines on the shirt. Striking like.
Throughout May and June, follow the lads on TalkSport with kitbag.com, where we're giving you the chance to win €2,012 every week. Click talksport.co.uk/competitions now and answer a simple question for your chance to win €2,012, courtesy of